Today on the newscast, Israel warns Lebanon that Beirut Airport could be targeted if it allows Iranian weapons shipments. Plus, Iran and Russia deepen their military alliance. Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. A very busy weekend in the world's most strategic and chaotic region, the Middle East. We've got breaking updates for you on Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Russia, and more. But up first, another breaking news item for you. Yesterday, Sunday, December 11th, I was able to interview Benjamin "Bibi" Netanyahu, the incoming Israeli Prime Minister. A great interview about his brand new book, Bibi, My Story. Now, of course, he is Israel's longest serving prime minister, 15 years overall. He's about to increase that total when he takes office, probably next week when he's done with these coalition negotiations. Of course, his Likud party won the Israeli election on November 1st. And in the meantime, he's been shaping up and fine-tuning this soon-to-be governing coalition. And again, Benjamin "Bibi" Netanyahu will be at the helm in Israel. Look for my interview with him on the Watchman TV show on TBN. It will air Thursday, December 22nd at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and Friday, December 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And yes, we will also post the entire interview right here on our YouTube channel at some point. Folks, it was a fascinating discussion. We talked not only about current events, obviously, what's happening in Israel now, what we can expect from Prime Minister Netanyahu's new government. We also talked about his life, his influences, what helped to shape his worldview. That's the topic of his new book, Bibi, My Story. It is a must-watch interview. You won't want to miss that. Okay, in the meantime, one major issue that the incoming Prime Minister will need to deal with is Iranian entrenchment in Syria and in Lebanon at Israel's northern doorstep. We've got some news on that front. Over the weekend, on Saturday, Israel reportedly carried out airstrikes in southern Syria, near the Syria-Israel border, near the Golan Heights, on the Syrian side of the Golan. Now, we don't know what the specific targets were, but as you've heard here on the newscast many times, when Israel carries out airstrikes in Syria, and they have carried out hundreds over the past decade, it is usually targeting Iranian weapons shipments that are transiting through Syria into the hands of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, or Iranian weapons that Iran wants to set up in Syria, again, at Israel's doorstep to potentially use against the Jewish state. So we don't know what exactly was targeted here, but one interesting wrinkle here, folks, the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, reportedly dropped leaflets in Syria, again, on the Syrian side of the Golan Heights, right across the border, around the town of Quneitra. And these leaflets said to Syrians, do not help Hezbollah. You are putting yourselves in the line of fire if you provide any assistance to this Iran-backed terror group, Hezbollah. So very interesting that the IDF did that, and hopefully Syrian citizens, people on the Syrian side of the border, take heed to that and do not provide safe harbor and shelter to the Iranian regime and its minions like Hezbollah. Now, another very interesting note, folks, on that point, Hezbollah's home base obviously is Lebanon. Southern Lebanon in particular is where Hezbollah lives and breathes. They have some 150,000 rockets and missiles pointed at every inch of Israel, and many of those missiles and rockets are based in southern Lebanon. But Hezbollah also has a very strong presence in the suburbs around the Lebanese capital of Beirut. And now we are hearing reports out of the region that the Iranian regime may be looking to transit weapons through Beirut Airport in Lebanon into the hands of Hezbollah. Now, why is this significant? Two reasons jump out at me, folks, right away. Number one, and again, we've told you this many times here on the newscast. By the way, if you miss any newscast, just go to our page here. You can subscribe. They're all right there in the archives. We'd love if you could subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new update is posted right here on the channel. But we've been telling you how over the years Iran has attempted to use, not attempted, they have used Damascus International Airport in Syria, and then in more recent months, Aleppo International Airport, also in Syria. Those have been the main transit hubs for the Iranian regime to ship weapons to Hezbollah and ship weapons into Syria, many times using civilian flights. Now, Israel caught on to this. They've been onto it for years, but in June, this past June, as we reported here in the newscast, Israeli airstrikes shut down Damascus International Airport for the better part of a week. You would think message sent, and Iran started to shift, message was sent, I should say, and Iran started to shift some of those weapon shipments further north through Aleppo International Airport, and then Israel bombed Aleppo International Airport and shut that airport down back in September. So clearly Iran knows that Israel is staying one step ahead, and it's looking for alternative means to continue to supply its most lethal proxy, Hezbollah. And what better way than Beirut International Airport, where, again, Hezbollah has a presence around the Beirut area, and of course further south, Iran, just as it has done in Syria, is reportedly looking to use civilian flights to transit these weapons into Beirut. Here's the big takeaway here. Israel reportedly has warned Lebanon, don't do it. Don't knowingly allow weapons shipments into Beirut International Airport, or the airport in Beirut will be a target, just as Damascus Airport and Aleppo Airport have been in previous months. Folks, this is one to keep an eye on, because if we've learned anything over the years, it's number one, that Israel means business when it comes to Iranian entrenchment in Syria, and when it comes to Iran trying to equip Hezbollah with precision-guided missiles and all sorts of advanced new weapons to be used against the Jewish state. And number two, we know very well that as much as Israel has decimated Iran's military infrastructure in Syria and enjoyed great success striking Iran in Syria, Iran continues to push. Yes, they've backed off at times to a degree, and we're also hearing reports right now that Hezbollah has kind of vacated the area around Damascus International Airport recently because they are concerned about Israeli airstrikes against those weapon shipments. But folks, they continue to push. They may back off for a while, but they have a strategic goal. Key point here, a strategic goal to destroy the state of Israel. They make no bones about it, and they are shaping policy around it, shaping their strategy around it. And a key point there, part of that strategy is to equip Hezbollah with these advanced weapons and surround Israel with a ring of fire. Without Syria and Lebanon in Iran's possession, Iran can't do that. So expect them to continue to push. Speaking of Israel and Syria, we want to move on to that growing Russia-Iran military axis and talk about the ramifications for Israel. But up first, one way we can stand with Israel against these gathering threats is to support Israel's economy, which is why I want to tell you about my good friends at Artza. Now, we've been partnering with Artza for a while now here on the Watchman Newscast because we really believe in what they are doing. Each Artza Box features amazing products from a different city or region in Israel, all made in Israel by Israeli small businesses. The holidays are here, and Artza is now featuring a special Christmas box with 8 different beautiful handcrafted products made in Bethlehem, Nazareth, and Jerusalem, all pivotal places in the life of Jesus. Folks, this is a great gift for anyone in your life who loves God's land and wants to fulfill that biblical mandate to bless Israel as you support Israeli small businesses. Just go to artzabox.com and use the discount code WATCHMAN25 to get 25% off your Artza Box subscription. Just in time for the holidays. Take advantage of that special 25% Artza Box discount now. Hey, it's a great cause and a good deal, and we hope you enjoy it. And Israel could use the support now more than ever because we have Iran, Israel's greatest foe, forging what U.S. officials are saying are unprecedented military ties with Vladimir Putin's Russia. Now, we've reported here in the newscast many times over the months that Iran has been supplying Russia with drones, hundreds of these Shahed 136 attack drones that Russia is packing with explosives and using on the battlefields of Ukraine and against Ukrainian cities to deadly effect. We've had Iranian trainers on the ground in Ukraine helping Russia reportedly in using these drones, showing Russian soldiers how to operate them. And we've got persistent reports that Iran is preparing and may have already done so to equip Russia with ballistic missiles. Hey, that Russia campaign in Ukraine is now stretched on into its 10th month, folks, and Russia's military supplies need to be replenished. They're turning to Iran first and foremost. They've even turned to North Korea, but Iran has stepped up as Russia's main military backer at this juncture. And we've asked in recent weeks on the Watchman Newscast, will there be a quid pro quo of sorts? Iran's not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. They want something in return from Russia. We're seeing that now. U.S. officials say reportedly that Iran is receiving from Russia helicopters, air defense systems, and fighter jets, which could be a game changer for the Iranian military. Folks, again, fighter jets, air defense systems, as the Iranian nuclear program continues to develop, as Israel very likely will eventually be forced to take action against those Iranian nuclear facilities. This is a very big deal. The other part of this that is troubling for Israel, this growing Russia-Iran alliance, is part of this quid pro quo. May very well be the Iranian regime saying to Russia, hey, shut down Israeli strikes against us in Syria. Remember, we still have thousands of Russian soldiers in Syria. They're not going anywhere. They essentially control the airspace above Syria. And if Russia one day, and look, as we've reported here in the newscast many times, Russia-Israel relations have been unraveling. If Russia one day decides to say, Israel no more, or we no longer want you to carry out airstrikes against Iran and Hezbollah on Syrian soil under the noses of the Russian military, what will Israel do in that situation? Folks, all of a sudden, things get very, very dicey. The bottom line here is that Vladimir Putin's Russia is aligned with Israel's greatest enemies, closely aligned. Whether it's Iran, whether it's the Assad regime in Syria, whether it's being shoulder to shoulder with Hezbollah on the battlefields of Syria, whether it's hosting Hamas delegations in Moscow, Vladimir Putin is aligned with Israel's greatest enemies, not to mention North Korea, China, Cuba, and Venezuela. So needless to say, Israel cannot trust the current government in Russia right now. That's an understatement, folks. And we see a collision course. At first it will be diplomatic, but prophetically, as we close here, you think of the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39, that war of Gog and Magog, and Russia leading a latter days invasion force against Israel, which includes Iran. The good news is that invasion force does not get very far. It meets its demise on the mountains of Israel. In the meantime, be encouraged, because if Ezekiel 38 and 39 show us anything, it's that God is in control and he still sits on the throne. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the Watchman Newscast. Until tomorrow, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.